These days, everyone is taking bold decisions about migration. Some of you have already started the process of getting work visa or student visa. We know very well that this was not an easy decision for you all. We know that there have been a lot of uncertainties around this decision. We also know that you are preparing for or you have already done a lot of difficult goodbyes. Here we are taking a small effort to make your life a little bit easier. This video hopefully help you to relieve a few stresses related to relocating to the UK. Most of the things we discuss here are definitely the things we wished we knew before taking that one-way flight to the UK. Hello, this is Chamodi from Remo Chamo. Today we are discussing a list of things you need to consider before traveling to the UK for a longer stay. It is a long list and in each topic we have plenty of things to discuss as well. Therefore we are doing this video in two parts. Today in the part 1 we will be discussing the first 7 sections and the part 2 will follow with the remaining topics. Okay, let's start. Which UK airport to choose? Once you get your student visa or your work visa, you will be making your travel itineraries and there are several international airports in the UK. So depending on your initial accommodation, you can work out which airport will be the best suitable one for you. You can simply use your postcode and find the nearest airport to your location, and we must mention that UK is a very big region compared to Sri Lanka. And it is very likely that you will have to travel invariably for 5 to 6 hours from the airport to your initial accommodation. So if you choose the wrong airport, you may have to travel a very long distance after your long tiring flight. Number 2, transport from airport to your initial accommodation. This is another factor you may take lightly. However, I know many people come here not because they have a fortune, but to somehow earn and save money. Therefore, many of you might find traveling inside this country very expensive. If you have any close friends or family, it is best to contact them and you might be able to find a ride to your accommodation from the airport. However, not everyone will be able to offer this because traveling in the UK is very expensive, as I told before. Many people will have their own issues such as working commitments, parking issues, long-term waiting time or any other inconveniences. Don't worry if you are on your own. You have few options to consider when you are traveling from airport to your initial accommodation. These are public transport, that means a coach or a train, and airport taxi services, and Uber, Get Taxi or any other similar service. Talking about public transport, if you are not comfortable or not experienced in traveling inside this country before, better not to choose this option. After a long tiring flight and with those luggage, it can get very hectic for obvious reasons. However, if you are a single person or a couple with no kids, this may be the best option for you. Outside the airport, there are coach stations and train stations. Most of these need to be pre-booked. Therefore, if this is something you will consider, book your seat ahead of time. I have mentioned a few websites you can use for this. However, these things are just a Google search away. You can Google how to book a train or coach from a particular airport to your accommodation and you can book your seat. Then the airport taxi service. They give rides nationwide and this service is pretty good but pretty expensive as well. You can go to their website. One such website I have mentioned down below. Here you can get a quote for your travel and plan accordingly. Things like how many passengers are traveling, how many suitcases you are taking with you, going to decide which type of taxi you are going to get. They have various options ranging from a saloon car to a minivan. As you can see here in their website, the vehicle need to choose depending on the number of passengers and number of suitcases. I thought it is important to mention because we do not regulate this kind of things, when it comes to traveling inside Sri Lanka. But here everything has a standard and people abide by the law. You will come across many such rules and regulations when you are living long term in the UK. So which type of taxi you need to hire, the cost and the duration of the journey can all be pre-planned. Next is Uber taxi. This is also very similar to airport pickup service, and just like in Sri Lanka, you can book an Uber and take a ride from the airport. Next section we are going to discuss is your initial accommodation. What I mean by initial accommodation is that the place you are going to stay until you rent or buy a house in the UK. This could be your friend or family's place or a hotel or guest house, etc. If you are staying in a paid accommodation, better to book it for 3-day slots rather than doing a longer booking. When you find a house, you can then move and cancel the pending bookings, or otherwise you can extend your stay. These days there is a high demand in the market, and sometimes it can be it can take very long to find a property. Number 4, house hunting. House hunting you can start while you are in Sri Lanka itself. Most of the time houses are rented out by letting agents. These agents are pretty good with their job, especially if you are renting out for the first time. They can help you with this process a lot. If you have enough funds and you want to buy a house straight away, they can be a great help with this process as well. There are private landlords also who directly rent out their properties. Most of these type of people can be found in social media. However, there can be fraud operating in these platforms, so be careful and do not pay any money upfront before you view and agree with the property you are going to rent. Really speaking, there are actually so many things to tell about renting out your first property here in the UK. We may even do a complete video on this subject, but if you like such a video, just mention in the comments below and we will consider doing one. However, if I were to mention a few important things here, I would say that you need to read the tenancy agreement very carefully before signing and know if the agreement is for 6 months or 12 months let, and know the agreement ending clause, such as when you should give the ending notice for the landlord, etc. When you rent out a property, you need to pay for a deposit which is usually 1.5 times the monthly rent. For example, if you rent out a house for £500, the deposit is going to be £750. But this can vary from agent to agent. I have mentioned few links below in the description that you can use for house hunting. Even though you can have a look at the property while in Sri Lanka, most agents will not let you a house until you come in person and do a viewing. Online viewing options are becoming more and more available after the pandemic, but it is very rare that you will finish the renting process before coming here. That's why I mentioned that you need an initial accommodation before renting out your property. Next is BRP collection. BRP or British Residency Permit. This is your visa. If you are coming to the UK with a long-term visa such as Tier 2 work visa or Tier 4 student visa, you will initially get the entry clearance only. This is the stamp in your passport. The visa or the BRP you need to collect once you come to the UK. When you are applying for the visa, you will be asked to select a post office and your BRP will be able to collect from that post office. Usually within 10 days of arrival, BRP will be available. However, this time frame can differ from case to case. One important thing to know here is that when you choose the post office to collect the BRP, first check the postcode in Google Maps and select the easiest place for you to travel from your initial accommodation. Usually student visa holders, their BRP will be sent out to their university and they will be notified regarding this, and you can go to university relevant section and collect your BRP from there. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this. Number 6, initial month expenses. This is a very important thing to consider. You must be able to spend for your first month's subsistence, and when you come for your work, your first month's salary will be given in the end of the month, and so is for the student visa holders because they will be working and getting their first month's salary in the end of the month only. Therefore, you need to make sure that you have enough money for few essential expenses during this first month. I will try to explain one by one the essential expenses you need to spend during the first month. First thing is accommodation. If you are staying in a temporary accommodation until renting out a house, the cost is something you need to bear in mind. Next is renting out the house. You need to pay the first month house rent plus the refundable deposit, as I mentioned above. You know, it is very rare to find a furnished house here, and you are lucky if you find one. Unfurnished houses are also coming with or without white goods. White goods mean your fridge, freezer, your washing machine, your dishwasher, etc. Cooking hob is usually available invariably. So what are the things you need to buy immediately for your house can be highly vary from person to person and from season to season as well. For example, if you are eating out, you don't need cooking vessels, knives, spoons, plates, etc. However, mind you, eating out is not like in Sri Lanka. You will not find restaurants selling, rice and curry and fried rice very often. Other thing is that you will have to buy a bed and a mattress at least. In winter months, you need good bedding, a duvet set, etc. To keep yourself warm, according to my thinking, these are essential expenses during the initial months. So when you are allocating your budget, keep these things in mind as well. Next thing is essential grocery for the month. And also you need to consider day-to-day traveling cost because you will be traveling a lot in the initial days for essential needs. You may use public transport and you might consider buying a car as well. Second-hand vehicle market is very good in the UK and it is not difficult to find a good second-hand vehicle, a second-hand car for a very cheap price. Communication is the next thing to consider when it comes to initial month's expenses because you are going to make a lot of phone calls and a lot of mobile data or Wi-Fi is going to use these days. You can easily buy a SIM card and top up it with it as a prepaid. But going for a postpaid mobile contract is the most cost-effective way. However, the process can get a little delayed until you settle here. Using mobile data can get very expensive if you are not using a data plan. However, many public places such as supermarkets, restaurants, banks, even buses, etc. provide free Wi-Fi and therefore there's no harm if you enter a coffee shop to use Wi-Fi during the initial days. I have mentioned, whatever come to my mind as the initial monthly expenses. Keeping these expenses in your budget for the initial month is very important. In this video, we are focusing many those people who cannot spend money lavishly, and we point out things that can be overwhelming to you if you come here with, limited funds. To be honest, we did not bring a lot of money with us, and these expenses I have mentioned above actually struck us. If you are interested, there are a number of charity shops in every town. They sell everything for a very cheaper price, and these are pre-loved stuff ranging from clothing to furniture. Recycling things is not a dilemma here anyway. A few such famous shops are British Heart Foundation, Age UK, RSPCA, Samaritans, etc. When buying furniture, you must consider this option, and the quality of the goods also very good. Number 7, weather and appropriate clothing. Weather in this country is highly unpredictable and the forecast is very reliable. This means you need to make sure, make the habit of checking the weather forecast every morning. You need to be ready with appropriate warm clothes in the winter months. It can start to rain or snow all of a sudden and it can get overwhelming, especially if you are traveling in public transport or if you are traveling with kids. Therefore, it is important to check the season, the temperature when you come for the first time and be ready appropriately. Okay, here we have come to the end of part 1 of this video. I have tried to explain in each and every section as much as possible from our own experience. However, if you have more questions, please mention in the comment section below. Stay in alert for the part 2 of the video. I wish a very good day for everyone and see you later.